So, your reflections from today.
So today is day number 2 of pilgrimage, and the day started out from Golan and headed out for breakfast to Lazaro. It was beautiful. We had some eggs and some pancake, whipped up quick pancake. No, not probably very, very cooked. And we were able to get up. We were running a little bit late today. And basically got it to the PRC and headed into the bus to Bachi. And it was nice to really hear again, as much as we know that the temple site is important, but the guide really helped us remember that actually Baha'u'llah revealed the tablet of Carmel right by the temple site. And so that to me was a good reminder, and the fact that I didn't actually know that Baha'u'llah spent 3 days at the monastery there, in the cave of Elijah, the upper cave of Elijah.
Me neither, actually.
And that Abdul Baha spent a week or 2 weeks, a week?
About a week.
Yeah, so that was news. I had never read that anywhere. So just reiterated the need to remember to go to that site. I've been here 8 months and I've never gone there. So I really would like to do that during pilgrimage. You can continue to that maybe, and I can keep thinking about what else.
And I think after that, it was, for me, like going down Ben Gurion and hearing about the Templars and the German colony. And I don't know if I've ever heard that Baha'u'llah actually wrote a tablet for the Templars.
Yeah, his name is Headache.
Headache.
Egg. Headache. Tablet of Headache. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a new one for me, because I didn't know that Baha'u'llah actually revealed a tablet for them. Yeah, and then I think along the highway, it was much more the pleasure of seeing the shrine of Abdul Baha. Every time you approach it, you marvel at the work that is ongoing, construction work, and even though it's still not completed, but that feeling of this is going to be a holy place. It is a holy place, but it is going to be even more holier
with the dust.
Yeah, with the dust of the Master. And
that was exciting to just. I mean, for me, I've been passing there, and every time you pass, you see as if it has gone up a little bit higher. But the cranes have always been there since I came, so it's always interesting. One day I'll look and there'll be no crane, and that will mean that the temple is almost finished. Yes, so not the temple, the shrine. Yeah, so I think after that we headed out to Baji. And while at the visitor center, I think it was also very special. The examples that our guide gave, and I just maybe jumping ahead, what touched me most in the quotations that we read was how Abdul Baha prepared the pilgrims to go into the most holy shrine. And that was, I like the fact that he said to the pilgrims that as they go into the most holy place on earth, to always remember that every prayer that we say there will never go unanswered. And I think I kind of know that, but hearing it being the words of Abdu'l Baha to pilgrims before they went into the shrine of Baha'u'llah was just, again, something that felt new to me. And I was just like, okay, I guess when I think of an object of pilgrimage, I think today was the time I kind of reflected as I walked before getting to the shrine, that what is really the object. Of course, being here many times and going to the shrine many times, you always pray for many things, but today I felt a need to kind of put an object to this pilgrimage that was clear. Of course, there's been, as we applied and did all the work that we were doing to make it happen, there was a desire to partake pilgrimage together, but it wasn't so clear the objectives. I think we did have an objective, but we just never articulated it clearly.
Yeah. And I think today made it a bit more clear. Like, what's the purpose of our pilgrimage? Not just as individuals, but also like a collective. Because I had my own individual goals. But today I also got to think about, also the collective.
Yeah.
But I think the most profound thing for me was as you walk and you hear the sound of the pebbles, and it kind of gets into your head. And I was looking down, so like all I was seeing is my legs and the pebbles. And then as we approached the Collins Gate, then I look up and I see these two security young men, just so humble and reverent, and it's as if they were opening that gate to the rhythm of my feet stepping on the pebbles as you go. So you have that sound of your pebbles, and then you have the gate opening slowly, like almost in slow motion, and tears just welled in my eyes, and I felt so overwhelmed, but also very, very grateful that I had served here for 2 years and I did not experience such a thing. And only on pilgrimage do I, as a pilgrim, like I almost stretched out to just hold your hand. Say what?
Feel it, I didn't.
No, the thing is, I almost stretched out to you, and then I realized
My head could have been somewhere else too.
yeah. So I just continued and walked in, and seeing the gates to the actual shrine being opened, and then the door that I have been seeing in my dreams so many times, opened, and then we walked in, and the chanting of the tablet of visitation was just another very beautiful, profound thing.
Yeah, I felt that was really special. I don't remember very well the previous pilgrimage, but I think I remember the gates being open because they're already open. But the Collins Gate, I don't remember them opening like the way they did it. So that was kind of new. And then the previous times, the tablet was chanted in English. It wasn't really chanted, it was just said. Yeah, but today the chanting in Persian was really very melodic, and thinking that if Abdu'l Baha was the one bringing us to the shrine, that's what Abdu'l Baha would do.
Yeah.
So it made it very special. And actually, I don't remember in my memory seeing those two doors open the way they were today. So that was very unique. It took me back. I remembered the very first time I came here. I remember Shaheen telling me that he had a dream, and in that dream he was standing outside that gate, and he saw me in the back trying to come, and I was stuck in mud, and so he was reaching his hand out, and that memory just came to me, and I'm like, wow, accompaniment means so much more to me than I could ever imagine, and that's just the bounty of having been able to come to that threshold at that time. Little did I know what a bounty it was. But it took me there, and as soon as we prostrated ourselves, I really remembered him in prayer because of the bounty that he extended to me and just accompanied me to that threshold the first time.
I think putting our foreheads on that threshold together at the same time has been such a special one for me, I think. When I think of all the hopes all the hopes of doing it together, but more importantly that I was able to first present us there and just mention the names of all the people that I hold so dear to me. That was like I didn't even want to leave because I know there was a lot of people behind us. I was just like, I haven't finished all the names. And so I kept on mentioning all their names and just saying that Baha'u'llah, do these little things, do these big things to this person's life. The youth in Mazare, but I was literally counting them by name. Yeah, so that was a very special bounty.
And I thought maybe because you were in a staff group, maybe it was a disservice to you because for us we're here, so a lot of those things we have not, like probably our lists are not that long because we get the lists all the time. Yeah, so I felt for you, and I knew what that was, and so after we prostrated together, I was like, okay, I think I can let you do what you have to do, and one person at least can come. Yeah, so it was interesting. You stood up, and I was like, okay, you're backing. I don't know if you know I'm behind you. You're like backing up, like, okay, I better stop. So when you turned into the first room, that was good, and just to get a chance to be able to sit together in the back of in that first room. And I like to support my back because if I don't, then I get tired. And it affects my prayer, so usually I prefer to have at least my back to be now.
Me too.
Yeah, but it was interesting. I think today, usually when I get to the shrine, I try to say the tablet of visitation, but because it had been said, I automatically went into my own prayer. And actually, I feel like today was really probably in this pilgrimage, the first day that I really emptied myself and said what I really wanted, and I think it's because of the preparation we've given to prepare myself as to knowing that whatever I pray for in this pilgrimage will be answered, detaching myself to how and when, but just knowing with certitude that that which I'm praying for would be answered. So there were 3 things that I really prayed for, and one of them was that we have that God opens a path so that we can get married, and that we have a long joyful marriage with service at the center. That was my prayer. The second thing I prayed was that my children, and I counted Tony, Anne, and Tao, that they may come to know Baha'u'llah, and someday, somehow, whether I will be able to see it in my lifetime or not, that they will laud the name of God in assemblies. So that was my second desire. And then the third was that a path of service be revealed to us that will allow us to bring something to the Universal House of Justice as fruits of this 9-year plan. Mm-hmm. And as I did that and I was meditating about it, a thought came to me that Irene, it doesn't matter where, because all along since the plan came out, the House of Justice has been telling us as staff that our duty is also to pray for the people who cannot be here to pray, and to remember regions and national spiritual and all the agencies and the people, individuals in our communities. And then also, as I was meditating, I realized that if it's God's will that we both serve here while we start this plan, that we should be able to still do whatever we want to do when we are home. If it is a junior youth, if it is, any kind of deepenings or whatever that is that the plan requires, that we should plan to do it here if we get to serve. And so it became to me very clear that it didn't matter where we would go. And so I somehow detached myself from wanting to ask where should we go. Of course, we had talked about pioneering and just knowing that we don't know how that path will be for us. It may be pioneering after 5 years of the plan. We don't know, but I realized right away that whatever God will ordain, if I will hear and you come and join me, then we must figure out what we're doing here and contribute to the plan in that sense. And if we happen to be going anywhere, whether it will be in the States or Kenya, that even there we will still find something that we can bring to the House of Justice after 9 years and say these were the fruits of our contribution to the plan. So those were the three things I really prayed for as the object of my prayer, personal prayer, that I would like to see in 3 years how far we shall have gone, and as I said, with certitude knowing that Baha'u'llah will answer it, but in his own way and his own time.
Yeah, I prayed for the kids too. I think my prayer was that, how that prayer says, that would it not have been for your summons, I wouldn't recognize and know you. My prayer was that God, according to his will and timing, that he would summon these 3 children to himself, and that they may arise to recognize the station of Baha'u'llah, and that they may be dedicated young people to the service, and I think as they grow older also, they may dedicate themselves to the service of their Lord. And then I prayed for my grandpa, I prayed for all the old people that I interviewed during the making of the film, because all of their names just kept coming to me. Like, I have never remembered all the names of people like I did today. So when I started with Bonaventure, the other name was Chabu Sana. Yeah, all the other names just came, and I said, Baha'u'llah, if it be your will, let the transition be peaceful, and that we may find ways to honor them in their services, for the services that they have rendered. We are Baha'is in Kenya, and the history of our country is basically because of their efforts. And so my prayer was that Baha'u'llah help us that we may do even as half as what they were able to do. Just remembering that this plan is, the 9-year plan is the same in scope and even greater than the 10-year crusade. And yeah, these people, my grandfather being one of them, all of their efforts were during that 10-year crusade, and I am here now, probably almost the same age as some of them were at the time, and looking towards a new plan that looks almost similar to that. And then coming to the, I think after we left, my mind was blank for a moment, and until we met with the House of Justice. That was a special one. I was just looking at those chandeliers and I'm like, oh my God. I did get an opportunity to meet with the House of Justice during my first service when I arrived. And it was just like I was just reminiscing those moments and the lights in the concourse. It's just such a special moment. And the house members walked in and Mr. Hall was sharing and Buckland smiled and all the house members just looking at us. Paul Lampo just, like, he was literally looking at each and every one. Like, he literally went, like I could see him do this. Just scanning each and every face of the pilgrims. And Mr. Hall's reflections on the objectives of pilgrimage. And the importance of this group, that we are coming in at a time immediately after the conferences of the councillors, APMs, and RBC members and National Spiritual Assemblies, and we are adding to that impetus, that spiritual force that has gone already back into the community, and that's in our contributions to the new plan. So, like, my only thought was, wow, like, it's such a bounty that we've come into pilgrimage immediately after that special period of potency, in this period of potency.
In the same room, actually.
In the same room where they were. And we are going to, like, as I go back, I'm like, I am adding to that impetus. And I just felt so lowly and humbled at the same time.
Yeah, I think the analogy which you gave was the principle of reciprocity.
You receive and give.
Yeah, and I think to me, it made it sink deeper that it's just not a privilege you get. The way he gave the analogy of the heart, and that the blood comes into the heart to be purified, but not to sit here. It's to be purified and then pumped out into the rest of the organs of the body. And so it was just such a great analogy, as much as we've had it before, that, you know, pilgrims are the lifeblood of the world center. But when he really distilled it that way, it kind of sinks a new way. And really gives you the sense of responsibility that you have been given this bounty, and the bounty is to actually go back and feel others. And so it made me ask myself, what will that look like for us who are serving here? And at that moment, as he was talking, the lines of the tablet of visitation of Abdu'l Baha about making me as dust in the pathway of thy loved ones, I just kind of kept thinking in my head, what would that look like in my service? Yeah, so I'm yet to figure out how to be as dust in the pathway of God's loved ones as I serve. But that was really good to know that it's just not a bounty you get and then you sit with it. You know, that you give, you receive and give.
Yep. So that was, I think that was a summary of today.
And I think the crowning part you can't forget.
What was the crowning part for you?
The chanting.
Oh yeah,
oh
yeah.
My God.
The chanting was so uplifting. I think it took me to a place where it was just quiet, total silence. That when all of you were, I think when people started moving is when I noticed that the chant is complete. I had no idea that he had finished. Like I was just in it.
I think this was my first time to hear house member chant. So it was really special.
Well, we look forward to tomorrow.
Today you start.
What am I saying?
Reflections, how the day started, how the day went.
Hey, the early start was
Pretty early.
a bit challenging. I was finding it difficult to like decide whether I need sleep or I need to go to Pierce.
It's your spirit of pilgrimage.
Yeah, but it was nice. It was nice at the end of the day. Like just getting there on time meant that the day's program is decided and I was set to join in. And I enjoyed the visit to the house of Abud in the prison cell. Yep, it was, I think, very enlightening. Enlightening. Yeah, very inspiring.
The words of Mr. Moore.
Yeah, actually, yes. The inspirational part of pilgrimage. So today, I think the enlightening part was some of the stories that I have never heard of about the house. Yeah.
So basically, we were supposed to have done prayers today, and it was just not working out at the time, so we headed out to the PRC right straight away. And we went in the morning directly to the house of Abud.
Yeah.
No, we went to the prison cell first.
Did we? No. Oh. Yes. I actually went to the prison cell through the land gate.
So the talk, for me, I was wondering, somebody asked, actually I wasn't wondering, but somebody asked about how come there was no Christian cemetery, because as we were going, the guide was talking about the different cemeteries where, Baha'is who were here during the time of Baha'u'llah, the time of Abdul Baha passed away. And so there are three cemeteries, the Jewish, the Muslim, and the Baha'is, but no Christian was mentioned. So we're trying to figure out if there is, or there are very few Christians in Akka, that there was no major cemetery for them, or what was the reason, but I don't remember. But anyway, what was new to me was the fact that there was a Napoleon Hill, which I had never, I've read the book Napoleon Hill, but I didn't ever know that Napoleon Hill was right next to Rizwan Garden.
It's literally overlooking the Rizwan Garden. I think when I went to visit Napoleon Hill in 2016 and 2017, it was more to enjoy the scenery, because it looks really nice. Like when you move away from the bus and you step on the ground itself, it looks magnificent. And then it has some nice parts that look like they're going into Reason Garden. Very nicely paved, by the way. So now when you actually stand at Napoleon Hill, you will be able to see those paths literally as if they're going into the shrine of Abdul Baha. Like if you bend down and you look, they look like that. So that was the marvel for me. But like, and then I read the history of how Napoleon tried to conquer Akka. Yeah, and he had thought that he had conquered Akka, and so but then the thing is, they had just reached that hill. Him and his army, they had reached that hill, and then there's actually a monument of a horse and him on top of the horse.
Yeah, that I never heard about before. Yeah, and then so the visit, it all started with going to the Land Gate. All you were taking pictures. It was very cold, and thinking how opposite it is to have a pilgrimage around the months of the winter months. And I think I had decided I don't want to do pilgrimage in those winter months. But it was cold, so we managed to just stay a few minutes, and then we went in. It was nice to be reminded of all the other spots that were, especially for the I think they call it a caraway, where the visitors or the Baha'is that came into Akka would stay, because there was no separate accommodation. Baha'i didn't own any property at that time. And it was interesting, I didn't realize Haji Amin was the first Baha'i that passed the gate unrecognized. That was really interesting to me. I didn't know that part of Haji Amin. Yeah, but and Badi, yeah, those were among the first few that managed to get through. And the fact that Haji Amin actually went and bought a horse and had merchandise, and that's how he managed to get through the gate. Camel, sorry. And then Badi was disguised as a water something and had uniform on. A water carrier or something. Yeah. And that's how he got, he managed to get through the gates, and how he wandered for 3 days before he was able to find the believers and send them. He recognized Abdul Baha in the back, and then send a message. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, the story of the guy with the shop in the white market
I remember.
was also pretty good. Like it sounded like a scene from a movie.
The hiding of the two Baha'is.
Yeah, the hiding of the letters and the messages.
Oh yes, that he
in bread.
Yeah, in the bread they would hide the messages. And back and forth, because the guards would not check inside the bread.
Yeah.
So that was really smart.
Yeah, I recorded a few clips of, a clip of, I don't know if you saw, there was like bread being baked.
Oh yeah, like pita bread.
The pita bread, yeah. Like while Teresa was explaining that. And I saw bread dropping in. Yeah.
So that was nice. To see the Al Jazeera Mosque. I think I've always confused it. I've just thought it was the biggest dome thing in Accra. But today I was able to really identify which one specifically.
Yeah. I didn't know they had designated a room for Abdul Baha to talk to the learned, to the Islamic scholars.
Yeah. I thought that was the room in the house of Udi Kamal.
No, even at the mosque.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I remember her saying that. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely a story I didn't know. Yeah, and then I think as we were conducted into the only missing part of today's tour of the market was the shawarma falafel treat.
Yeah, because of the pandemic.
Because of COVID-19, COVID 2022.
I guess it's still 19 here. It's whatever.
We have an outdated virus.
So that was nice. And then we went back to Accra, to Baji. Anything else before we came back?
Came back from Baji.
So we had lunch at Baji and then came back to the house of Abud.
I think the prison cell visit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was quite. Personally, it was an intense one for me. Because I kept on thinking of all the things that are a prison for me, and just praying that any of those things, be it on me or on you, and anybody, any of our loved ones, that they be set free from that prison. And the story of Mirza Mehdi being the very sacrifice that made it possible for even now, like you can imagine the 1870 up until now, and the impact of that sacrifice is still felt. Just like in the Christian dispensation, I don't know if people reflect on it, but the sacrifice of Christ, was it Shoghi Effendi who made that comparison, or was it Abdullah? Yes, that it is like it's similar to that kind of sacrifice. And I didn't know that it took only 4 months after that sacrifice for the prayer and hope of Mirza Mehdi to be fulfilled, and the conditions of the prison were eased, and that the family, Baha'u'llah, was able to meet the pilgrims. And now that we are able to come to pilgrimages as a result of such a mighty sacrifice, and the prayer of Baha'u'llah, as I mentioned in the morning, I felt like Baha'u'llah laid his heart bare, like very emotional prayer. Yeah.
The other part of that is also, as we were talking earlier, that Baha'u'llah knew that it took a sacrifice for some, monumental aspect of the faith to happen. And so in that sense, I was just thinking how when we desired something for the cause of God and even for our own path of service, that really to think sometimes, what is the sacrifice I'm giving to attain this? And it doesn't have to be monumental like what Baha'u'llah did, But constantly it made me realize, sometimes little things happen and it's just all tears and worries. And yet Baha'u'llah gave his own son as a sacrifice. And I was just thinking, oh my God, there are so many ways that, I've had to go through it myself, but never looked at it as a sacrifice per se, that I would be willing to give or offer. Yeah, so it really highlighted what that feels like, and that detachment, knowing it is for a bigger goal.
Yep. Yeah, that was a deep one. Like I could literally feel the emotions. Like the words in the prayer. Were very descriptive. As I watch my son being washed, the body of my son being washed, like you can imagine that pain. And so then you think, what's the pain of my sacrifices? For instance, as we go into the 9-year plan, of course that kind of sacrifices the house has said will be one that, the capacities that we are supposed to develop on a magnitude that has never been seen before. And that means even greater sacrifice. Yeah, so, and which was echoed in the talk later by the ITC members. Yeah. How did you feel at, because I think we came back and then we went to the house of Abood. First, the renovations, I think, have made the house to pop. Like the house looks so bright. The colors white and blue, just making that place shine so much.
Yeah, definitely. It looks nice. It catches your eye if you were to pass. Yeah, definitely. I had never seen the inside before, apart from the section of the custodian. So I don't know how it looked before the renovations. But I was impressed that on the side of Wadi Kamal, they said everything that was in Baha'u'llah's room, former Baha'u'llah's room, was originally what was there. And so it was nice to really see, and you could see the difference.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to be in that space with those only original things that were used by Baha'u'llah. And that Turkish bath, you hear it a lot, but you don't envision it in your head. Yeah. So that was very special. For me, as you know, it brings back all the memories of my first visit, and all that just floods my being, and how just grateful I am to Shaheen, Sheila, and by then Shadi was the friend of Azhar's. And so just to be welcome in that home, unknowingly I didn't know the bounties bestowed upon me. Now every time I go back there, I just humble myself. And I do remember the prayer that Shadi's husband Jeffrey said, to create in me a pure heart, O my Lord, and renew a tranquil conscience within me, O my hope. Yeah, through the power, through the spirit of, through the spirit of something, confirm thou me in thy path, O my best beloved. Yeah, so, when the prayer was said, the verses that were similar in the Christian dispensation are in a song by Don McLaughlin. So I remember singing that song. And so just to be there and think about it and go outside the same spot and look at the windows again where the Kitabi Atlas was revealed. It was just very impressive. And I didn't realize it was the only place where you're offered tea.
Yeah, but it's the only holy
Place that you really get in and you're offered tea before you visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the guide said it was a tradition that was there, and so they are continuing, so that was interesting.
I think that's the tea, the tea that the scholars would say that anybody who drank that tea, it's as if they were bewitched or something.
Oh, the Persian tea? Yeah, I think it was more commemorative of, how welcoming they were of the people that visited.
Yeah. The tea was good. The tea was good. The place actually, the last time I went, you see those flowers, how they are arranged? They were not that many, and then the way they are arranged now, it's quite unique. And then the stairs are really polished.
Yeah,
Even
but the
the
steps were not.
No, the staircase itself has been polished, like really, really polished. You see how the marble of the seat has been polished? So that the marble at the House of Abud was a bit darker than that.
Oh.
It had accumulated a lot of dirt. So the polishing that was done, like if you could literally see that someone went there with an iron brush and they really did an amazing job. Yeah, so that was notable for me. And then the beauty of the inside, like an amazing job that has been done by the House of Justice.
It was it's just, I was impressed with the design of the house, because obviously I'm sure the design has not changed.
No.
It was just so amazing, the room of Baha'u'llah, how high the ceiling was, and beautiful and huge, and the story that in the household of Baha'u'llah they usually would sleep on a mattress, and then in the morning you wrap up the mattresses and that room is used for guests. Yeah.
High profile visitors.
I'm like, how wonderful! That's a great use of, because I know in Namawanga, when you go, it is that same Baha'i center at night, wanatandika mama nini watu wanalala, and then in the morning the mattresses are put on the top of them. Yes, I was like, oh, that's very good use of a home, But they had to survive. There were many and they didn't have room.
Yeah, 70 people would like to fit in that place.
Yeah, you can't say, oh, Sasa, this is the living room, no sleeping here.
Mkono watoto.
Yeah, this was good. Yeah.
I didn't know that Munire actually chanted at her own wedding.
Oh, that is, I knew that myself. It's one of the things that is so unique, but it's a tablet revealed by Baha'u'llah. Yeah, so I remember that part. For me, what I didn't know in the story that was shared was about Nabab. And that she fed the people of Akka. That was amazing. I didn't know that part of her, because we don't hear many stories. Yeah, and for any reason, yes, because of the manifestation of God, there is no comparison. You can't. I don't think it's important, but it was affirming to know that she accompanied Baha'u'llah in that sense, to the point that she had her own service too.
Yes, and that she was known as the mother of
something.
Lights.
Yeah, there's something they offer, I don't know what they call it.
Constellation?
Constellation?
Yes. Constellation is the mother of constellation. That was new for me.
Yeah, totally. And learning that there is no picture of Nawab we have. Yeah, that was interesting. But I think I thought I saw something online.
Many people actually used to confuse
Nawab and the
Bahi.
greatest woman. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Especially the picture, the last picture of
when
her.
she's older.
Yeah, the one she's taken with Sugar family.
Yes.
Yeah. For some reason, I actually remember that part, thinking that that was her. Yeah, so that was really interesting. And I remember admiring the kitchen, the fireplace.
The fireplace was cool, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. You can put it. You can try that design even in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
It would work. But after that, we did what? We went to Baji.
We went to the other skin.
Yeah, we went to Baji. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice. It was nice to see, like, to be in the shrine. It's that quiet.
Mm-hmm. Today wasn't freezing cold, so it was.
It wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, just spending time on the threshold without feeling like you're blocking others. Yeah, it's really nice.
And it was nice to have your hand in mine as we put our heads on the threshold. What were you praying for that?
Just that, the three things I've made an object of the pilgrimage is that our marriage be a long and joyful marriage that is centered in service. And just now, when I was on that threshold, I thought about, I'm praying about you, who's next to me. And so I was just like, yes, I'm sure we are both saying something to that tune. And I just was like, Allah, help us in the next stage so that that process can be finished. It's like when you pray about something for so long, it's like, okay, I know that I feel like we've really been guided. It's no longer asking about, is this the right thing to do, more than, Baha'u'llah create a path for us for this to be done, so we move to the next level. Yes, so it was nice to think about that time. I'm praying about you. You are right here with me. So like you're home, pray for us. No, you're right here.
I was actually praying about almost like a similar thing. In that moment when you stretched your hand, I was saying, oh God, in this moment I present this relationship to you. And I present myself and I present my beloved Irene, that you may guide everything that we do, that you may be the center of our lives. And then, like in that moment when I'm trying to open the prayer, I was opening the prayer for marriage. And then you stretched out your hand. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, so that was nice.
No, I really enjoyed my prayer this afternoon. It was, as I was sharing before, that it's been, the past few days is a lot of bringing a lot of supplications and askings. And so I feel like, the more I hear about the object of pilgrimage being praying and meditating, I feel like I've been doing a lot of praying and not a lot of meditating. So I feel like this afternoon, for some reason, I went beyond praying and those meditation. And so it really felt good. And I didn't feel like I was hurried. I didn't feel like, oh, what time is it? I just was ready. By the time we were ready to get out, I was ready. And I just felt very satisfied with the moment. And even after that, we did spend a few minutes on the threshold.
Yeah.
And that didn't feel hurried either. It was just like I would finish and then I would look inside the room of Baha'u'llah and just imagine what a bounty, and then just bow in gratitude again. And it's just, you look and you're just like, wow. You know, like it was just beyond. It was very special that you didn't feel like someone was waiting to use that threshold and you're sticking. So I really liked it, and I hope we will find another time to be
more time
shrine like that, where you're not feeling, okay, I need to hurry, get off the threshold so somebody else gets a chance. Yeah.
Then they walk in the gardens, brief, but then they talk.
Yeah, the talk of telling the story of the Baha'is of Iran in the prison.
Yeah.
That was very touching. And I like the way she built the story. Yeah, like, you know, she said how important it is that we're there right after the commemoration in the two major events, how lucky it is that we have pilgrimage right after that.
Yeah.
And I hadn't considered that at all. You know, I remember Mrs. Legwa said it, I remember. But when we were applying for it, that was not even something we thought. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Yeah. But I like the way she built it up by kind of almost an analysis of what's happening now. Yeah. And then reminding us again about the promise of Abdu'l Baha, that when you make prayers during pilgrimage, that you be assured they'll be answered, and that we bring the prayers of our loved ones, our families, ourselves. Yeah, I loved the way she built the story up to the Baha'is of Iran. It was really nice. It was almost like a mini talk of the conference.
I know, but I'm just imagining, you know, the thing that she mentioned, because actually the new addition to the new area of emphasis for the new plan is engagement in social action and involvement in the discourses of society. And we are always thinking engagement in social action is like a big, doing big things. But you can imagine, teaching people how to read.
And getting glasses.
And getting frames for glasses. So that is a social action. And you can imagine it was one glass at a time, one reading glass at a time. One lesson at a time. And I was just thinking, well, these are people who are in prison. Here we are in Kenya, largely, the biggest chunk of the world is free. Free to teach, free to share and propagate the values of this faith. I mean, how lucky we are. And then her summary of the objectives of pilgrimage as well. Just reiterating what the members of the House of Justice had said.
Even just the tablets that we've been reading around, about the object and the physical and the spiritual aspects of pilgrimage. Just everything was reinforcing. And the simplicity of the prayer that Mr. Serrano said. We are the armies of God, that we are empowered and to be able to conquer the regions. Every time that prayer is said, it feels like such a selfless act, and it reminded me of how important prayer is. Because to hear an institution member reading that prayer and assuming that, of course, coming from the institutions, this is a desire to fulfill the mandate of the House of Justice. It's a living thing. It's not something imagined that it's like it's so animated with the power of what's happening now. And so I really love that. And then into that, sharing about the life of Shelby family.
Oh, yeah. The video was quite nice.
I mean, everything just flew into one another. It worked out so well. Given the way the day was, I think it was nice.
Well, today celebrating our love as well. And then today my heart was filled with gratitude that our paths have crossed, and that all these memories are words of wisdom that hopefully will be shared in our family.
Yeah, I'm glad we're able to even document it, because you would want to recreate them sometime. It would not be this easy.
Remind yourself.
Yeah, of all the steps. But I'm glad at least we are working on at least putting down something for ourselves and for our family. Just to be able to share those memories.
Yes. Will be 3 done.
Okay.
Just as blessed and lovely as day 2 and day 1. This is day 3, right? Wow. Time flies, by the way. Like, I think, as they say, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
when on a spiritual journey, it even flies faster. So it's interesting.
Nangale's schedule, like this morning I looked at it and I'm like, okay, we're only doing 2 things. But by the end of the 2 things, you're wiped out. You're like, no, I can't do one more thing. Yeah, and I was like, oh, we have so much time. By the time we got the shawarma got down, it was like, oh, we have to go to the talk.
Done.
Yeah, so actually I thought it was a talk more
It was a mini talk
with the staff, but I didn't realize it was just them inviting us. So that was something I didn't expect. So it was good.
Absolutely.
Well, we have an early morning tomorrow. I'm sure it's 7:30 because we have to all be tested. Yeah, so that will take a bigger chunk of the morning.
I think that's why it was rescheduled. But I had thought it's maybe programming, but I'm like, no,
Obviously.
I think it is probably
No, it is. Because even the staff, the department, they're doing it in the morning. So I think I can only imagine. A nurse can't come now and come another time, whenever. So I think it just makes sense. Get everybody swabbed up, get going. Yes. Good to see all the departments. At least more than because I tested at 17. I think I just focused.